I'm gonna wait a second just because when I watch back my videos, it always like cuts off the start. I'm gonna wait for it to connect. Lay down, Fernie, you're okay. What's up, dudes? Um, I thought we'd do like a little catch up, hang out. Trudy might need a little moment. Whenever I do a Zoom or a call or something, Trudy gets like, she starts doing whale songs, but she has to just see no one's here. No one's here. Just these guys, which you can't see. I can't see either. She's usually fine. Go ahead, Trudes. All right. What up, my dudes? I thought we'd do a little catch up and I'd show you some fun things that I'm working on. Because sometimes when I take a break from Substack, it can feel a little bit overwhelming to try and figure out how to share stuff. So, and I'm settling back into working on some other things after some client projects. So let's do it together. Let's see. It's morning. I'm kind of red in the face because I just went to the gym. So, and sweaty. I feel sweaty. Yeah. Well, so a couple things I'm working on is, and I thought I would also share some fabric. I'm going to be making my mom a jacket for her Christmas gift. And so I'm going through my fabric right now and figuring out what stuff I have and what I think she would like. And I thought I would share with you some patterns I'm going to sew up. And if that does not interest you, I totally get it. I'll have those at the end so you can ditch. But today I am working on a mystery painting. I know we had looked at a mystery painting before, and I'd show you where it's at now. So this is the one I'm working on for Alexa. And I think before it was a little hard to see, but I'm basically, this is Alexa on her bike with her two cats will be here. And then her buds will be back here. And it's like a nice like landscape portrait. And initially I had the whole painting as that. And it felt less playful than I wanted it to be because Alexa, for mystery paintings, I send like a questionnaire and people kind of fill it out with all sorts of fun things that they're excited to be included. And she had kind of wanted it to be this, because they're called adventure portraits, is what I'm calling this version of the mystery paintings. And she had kind of detailed this camping, like bike camping trip, but kind of left it open to interpretation. She wanted a lot of like alien looking flowers, and she wanted her cats who have passed to be included. And I figured instead of like a stagnant kind of like image in the center, I wanted to actually frame kind of like parts of that adventure all throughout. So you can kind of see this is like where they are at a picnic. And I'm not done with like the details of each part. I'm just getting most of the shapes down. She had said she wanted like a Bigfoot. So there's Bigfoot. And Alexa, if you're watching this and you want it to be a mystery still, don't watch. And then this is going to be kind of like a witchy campfire where she and her friends are dancing around the campfire. And this is a view of like what I'm picturing the tents as. And one of her cats is silhouetted in the front. And then another one's entering the tent with her. And all of the like illumination is going to be coming from like little lamps inside the tents. And then I figured I'll put like the two cats maybe in the foreground or kind of like silhouetted around the fire there. This will be her with her two cats reading in her tent. I might make this like a little bit more, have that orange tint to it, like down here. It took me a long time to figure out the color story for this. I knew I wanted it to be pink in the background because Alexa has like the cutest haircut right now with pink in it. And I just thought that would be like a really fun color to have glowing through. But then how the other colors like kind of worked with it just took me a little while. But yeah, I'm going to be working on this today. And then another thing I'm working on, which I go into a lot more, I'm going to be making a post going into a lot more detail with my paid subscribers. But I've been working for the last 2 years on writing and how writing works with my image making. And I've taken a bunch of classes. I think I shared it in the last post I made. I'm going to take this off actually. um, and the writing has been really fun and informative, and I'm super interested in how language helps me find images. But I think I got really caught up in the writing part and kind of moved away from it being a graphic novel. And I'm moving back to it being a graphic novel. So I went through all of my sketches and drawings and things from the last 2 years, and they were scattered all over in a bunch of different sketchbooks. I have a Notion page, which kind of has all of the writing in one place, but the images, the drawing, the sketches, and all that has been kind of all over the place. So I'm going back through and drawing. I'll give you a tiny little peek of some of this stuff. This is old. I feel like I can share this. So I have a million of these, which is like me trying to illustrate the outlines of the stories. So part of what was getting me stuck is I initially envisioned it as a series of shorts, kind of like Wayside Stories, kind of like, I don't know, picture I love short story collections. So I was picturing like a short story collection, but image based. And then when I started getting too into the writing and not into the image making, I was like, this has to be a novel. And like, what's the conflict? What's the story arc? And I got really into the storytelling piece, which is nice. I'm bringing that stuff back. But so I'm focusing on illustrating the first short, which is called Coyote. And I'm using tracing paper to kind of like go through and edit the images. These are older. I'm just looking at them now. And now I'm making them bigger and I cut this out, which I saw Sean do from Furry Little Peach. I'd never thought about doing it this way. I just always hand draw it. But I did like a to scale kind of just shitty little cardboard cutout, and then you just outline it. So that's my 2-page spread. And then you chop it in half, and that's your 1-page spreads. So I'm going through and like just redoing some of them. And this is kind of a fun detail. I had done this one, like I've drawn all of these images so many times. And I'm not even sure if they're like that different each time. It's just like a part of kind of like moving through the story. But I've drawn this image a million times. I didn't even finish it here. I even have like a painted version. And I was like, I don't like this image. I don't like it painted. There's something about it that just feels really stagnant and not, and vague, maybe like not specific enough. Like it doesn't feel like the setting is specific enough because it takes place in San Francisco. This is like a street view in the Richmond that I kind of like made up of a few different street views. And then I sat down and drew like my backyard view and then kind of elaborated a little bit on my studio and also what things I'm seeing. And this is going to be this spread instead of this like vague one. I'll be able to be more specific here. And it just feels like there's a lot more, like I'm already having a lot more energy for like quirky kind of like character moments. So you can see like the little cats. We have a ton of alley cats, and I was like, let's include that. There'll be some like lights on and off within the houses. I'm going to have like a surfboard and like some goggles and stuff out here. Just like things without me having to explain kind of the place that kind of illustrate the neighborhood, illustrate where she lives. So I'm working on that. Hey, hey, hey. I have 3 dogs up here right now, so just bear with me. And I'm painting it. I'm not sure the version I have painted. This is the version I'm painting. I don't really like it. I'm going to try to push through it and see if I can find some things I do like in it. And I'll probably do a live stream with my paid subscribers as I work on that. But yeah, so I'm trying to think about like, what don't I like about this? Be specific. And work through it. I think I like the pencil drawing better. And I think it's because of the contrast. So I think that's something I can try to change. This is acrylic gouache. It's not that hard. It's just in that ugly phase. And then I'm also working on this, which is part of this short stories or graphic novel short story. This is from Coyote. And I'm really enjoying kind of this door. I've done this a few different times. This is on hot press paper and it's using ink and gouache. And I think like the thing I'm learning as I dive back into this and I'm being more definitive about things. Number one, I'm not confused about what this is. This is going to be illustrated short stories. And it's not for kids. It's not for kids, but it's not for kids. It's maybe for me, like it could be for adults. And they're mysterious and weird. And a few of the things that I've kind of changed my mind about is like where it takes place, like what the setting is. Before it was a bar. And now it's a little different. So anyway, I'll share all that stuff when I do a live stream painting those. Let's see. What was the other thing I was going to share with you? Oh yeah. So I also am working on some oil painting. And this is, let's see if I can, well, I don't want to, I'm going to just move you as a tripod. I'm sorry. You can see the rest of the behind the scenes of stuff. Actually, I think you might want to be here. So this is kind of where I'm oil painting. I was painting outside for a long time and it's really cold here in the summer. And I was like, I don't feel like painting. Why is that? And I think it's because I had it all outside. So now it's inside. I got this new cart, which you guys were all very sweet about. And I'm working on this painting, which I started during residency last year. So I'm going to actually just grab you. When I was a kid, I used to think that the TV was little people living inside my TV. So my one thing is the lighting. You can tell when I'm standing directly in front of it, my shadow obscures it. So I have to kind of use some lamps. I'm using this lamp to kind of brighten this area. But this is using cold wax medium and then oils. And I'm just using, let's see, Gamblin. I open my window up. I don't find that the fumes are that crazy. Gamblin's pretty chill. And these are my colors. I've recently started using like the Holbein oil colors, which I'm really liking. They're really, really smooth. They have some really nice, like kind of like mixed colors, which is my favorite part about Holbein. So I'm using Winsor Newton and then Holbein as well. I got this one. I really like their pinks. Yeah. And then I keep this in like a covered Stay Wet palette, but I just put a metal tin inside. Otherwise, I get cat hair and dog hair all over it. And anyone with cats and dogs knows that that's the nightmare. And then this is, oh, look, that's falling down. And this is where I keep all of my images so I can see them all the time. This is the yard. You can kind of see how it's pulled from that for the drawing or for that spread I just showed you. But it's also a little different. And there's fern and treaties under here. And then this is the dog we're fostering. She can't hear very well and she can't see very well, but she's very sweet. But anyway, I'm going to put you in here. And I thought we could do a little painting together. So we'll work on that mystery painting that I'm working on for Alexa. And oh yeah, before I do that, I'll show you my fabric. So I learned to sew in 2018 and I've been sewing pretty much off and on since, but I will say if you haven't sewed before, you don't know how to sew, and you're interested in learning how to sew, it takes a really long time to learn how to do it. And I think even more to learn how to make things that you're actually going to wear. I was making in the beginning a lot of like dresses, and I like skirts, but I'm not necessarily a dress person. And I like things to have pockets, and pockets felt really complicated for a long time for me to sew. So I would like make dresses or skirts and then not add pockets. And then I got into making pants for a little bit, like soft pants with linen. Um, but now I'm into making like cropped. I got a new pattern from, what's it called? I think they're called Double Ugly Studio. Um, and it's this really cool, let me see if I can show you. Excuse me. My computer needs a moment. It's old. Um, yeah, I think it's called the Sour Cherry Button Up. And it's, yeah, Double Ugly. So this is the pattern. And then it's the Sour Cherry Button Up. So I'm going to try to sew that this weekend. It's kind of like a cropped, oversized size sleeve. So it's like got a little more structure because it's a raglan top. So anyway, I'm really excited about it. And these are my fabrics. And I'm sewing a jacket for my mom, and I have to go through kind of my fabric stash. And she's more of a blue. I think she likes blues, maybe olive green. I think I have some olive green linen that I can use. But I'm going to sew the Sour Cherry Button Up in this color, which I have a skirt that I made recently in that as well. Jade, thank you, Jade. I think it's a fun shape too. I'm excited. I've made this top. Let's see if I can find it. So, these are my two favorite sewing books. Spaghetti Western, which is my friend Sadie. Spaghetti Western Sewing on Instagram. She makes really cool patterns that are affordable, and it's not her full-time job. It's just something she does for fun, and they're really thoughtful and size inclusive and cool. Um, then this is one of my favorite books, which is Zero Waste Patterns by Birgitta Hemrelson, I think is her name. It's a little different than regular patterns. So like for the sour cherry, I get it printed up at a copy shop because number one, I hate printing it at home and taping it. That is a surefire way for me to never sew anything. So I'll never do it. I've tried, but also, getting it printed up at a copy shop, then I can keep the roll. It's easier to store. It's a little more expensive up front, but it's not that expensive. It's like $12 at our coffee place. But I've made this button up from Birgitta Hemrelson, and I really like it because of this back pleat, because I have a really big back and I also have boobs. Sorry if that's too much information, but I'm a human being. And I like it, and I've made it cropped before, but I'm excited to try the sour cherry one and do something a little different. And then the other one I really like for when you're really just starting out is how to sew clothes. The other cool thing about this is you can definitely buy fabric if you're feeling flush, but you don't have to. You can just reuse old things. So maybe you have like a dress that you never wear and you can tell it's like cotton. The one thing with like reusing old things is sometimes you don't know what the fabric is, but that's how you learn. Anyway, those are the things I'm excited about with sewing. I'm also working on a jacket for me. I have to get different interfacing. Interfacing is what gives it structure. So this is like a collar piece, and it's going to have this interfacing is ironed on, and then this is the lining fabric. And where is it? Oh yeah, here it is. So this is the lining fabric, and it'll be like this, where the interfacing is between the lining and the wool. And it just gives it like a little bit more structure. So this is like a really fun kind of like teal and gold plaid. It's a little bit soft. And I'm making myself that. There's a lot of like hand sewn pieces, and I've just been scared, so I haven't gone beyond the interfacing because I'm nervous. But I told myself this summer I'm going to do like just one step at a time. So hopefully I can show that to you soon. Anyway, that's all my sewing stuff. I hope that was fun for you. If it wasn't, I apologize. We'll get to painting. I promise. All right, I'm going to put these guys away. And again, if you are interested in kind of like following along with how I'm thinking about illustrating for the graphic novel or seeing kind of like finished pieces from it, like I'll be scanning and editing this and then putting it in, and I'll share also. I was thinking I would do a live stream for paid subscribers that's showing you how I'm formatting it in InDesign right now. So I'm editing each of the images and then I'm kind of plopping it into like a template I created in InDesign with the number of pages and the dimensions that I want it to be. And then I'll be sharing kind of like some more of the process for that. But today we're going to do a mystery painting. Alexa's mystery painting. Let me move. I got this giant desk years ago being like, "Oh, I'm gonna have so much surface space on that desk. It's gonna be incredible." And I do, but boy, do I take it up real quick. Okay. Bring it in. So we're gonna work on, I think, this part together. So this like kind of camp night evening camp scene, which is actually based off of a painting that I created a couple years ago. I just really love that perspective, but it'll be different because I'm going to change this to a little bit more orange. Her cats are going to be in the image, and it'll be Alexa instead of kind of the person that I illustrated before. Sorry, moved. Yeah, and I'm going to move this out of the way. Is anyone working on something right now while they hang out? I'm always curious what you guys are doing. We will. Look, short now. I'm going to flip you around. Yes. Cool. I'm going to move you. I'm going to get it set up so I can actually paint on this. It's kind of a tough angle with these large ones, but I'm going to try. Also, if you want more of a full screen view, because I'm going to put my paint palette in here as well, highly recommend using your computer. A desktop computer gives you the full width. I know they're making adjustments to the live stream capabilities. Let me know if it looks different for you. But as far as I know, the best way to get a full screen view is to use your computer. And a replay of this will be available, so you can do that too. I hope that you can see the whole, or my hope is that eventually they'll make it so that you can see the whole thing when you're on your phone. But currently, I don't think that that's the setup. So I'll try to keep the area I'm painting in the center. So right now, I did the background with this blue, which is actually on the other side of this paper, there's a little camping scene that I showed you with the tents, and the like little lake has this color blue in it. So I want it to be kind of like the same scene, but from a different angle. So that blue is there. Alexa, if you don't want any mysteries ruined about your painting, I see you just joined. Cover your eyes. Otherwise, welcome. Um, I'm going to try to add some orange highlights to this to make it feel connected to the other tent scene. And I just really like blue and orange. So kind of the colors we got, we have a lot of greens. We have this like periwinkle blue, um, some lavenders, oranges, and pinks. And that's kind of the color spectrum that I'm trying to work with. It's hard. I have a hard time with a limited palette, but it does make everything feel really cohesive. So it's an important step. Let's see, that's ruining my light. Okay. All right, Alexa, I love it. I also feel like you know who I am. I'm gonna share the process. And my coffee. Get some coffee drinking sounds, sorry. So I do want this. We'll move this over here. So I have a Stay Wet palette, but the Stay Wet palette has sometimes just like a little too much water going on. And this ceramic palette, you could use anything. It doesn't have to be a ceramic palette. Is a really nice kind of drier surface. Oh, I love that. Summer evenings, the best. So I just want this to be light. So I kind of go in with the concentrated paint and then let it kind of diffuse. There's two ways that I like to diffuse a color. The way that I'm doing right now is with water, right? So almost like a watercolor technique that I'm using for acrylic. I also do like to keep it thin, specifically for this part of the painting, but all over the painting. If I keep things thin, then the texture of the paper has a better chance of kind of like sticking around. Whereas if I get too opaque, too thick from the jump, it makes it really hard to kind of be able to utilize the texture of the surface of the paper, which is my favorite. This is cold press paper. It's 300 pound, it just means it's like really rigid and beautiful. And the thinner it is, the more you get kind of this cottony texture to come through. And the more thick I get with acrylic wash, the less of it gets to shine through. So we've got that. I'm going to do a little bit of an area where they're overlapping up here to give the illusion of kind of these transparent areas coming on top of each other. Oh, Trudy's going to bark, you guys. I don't know if you could hear her little tippy tappy feet. She's my good bad girl. All right. Stacy said, I found that personally, I don't like the way my brush feels on the Stay Wet palette paper, so I always go for ceramic or the more waxy Winsor Newton palette paper. Oh, I haven't used the Winsor Newton palette paper. I've been thinking about palette paper, Stacy. I usually, just because I have so many, oh, sorry, Trudes, there you go. Just 'cause I have so many of the Stay Wet ones. I do like the amount of water that comes through because you can see I'm like using it more like watercolor a lot of the times. Um, but it'd be nice to try something different. So I do want the edge to kind of have a little bit of that white or pastel, I should say. For traditional gouache, the Winsor Newton palette paper was a game changer. Cool. I'll try it out. I always love a new tool or stuff like that. It does make a difference, like just having a surface to mix that feels good. It is a big deal. Now you can see kind of this line. So I've been doing like a painted underpainting, which when I'm painting thinly can sometimes be a problem because it shows through. So we're going to try to just with another thin layer kind of cover up some of, and I still have some orange on my brush. I'm going to choo, choo, choo. Although it is a nice way to kind of gray down this blue, I want it to be a little brighter. It is almost, yeah, it's like showing through that purpley color on the other side. So, and this is the other way of diffusing something. It's dry brushing. And sometimes it can feel a little scary, especially if you go in and you're not sure how much paint is on your brush. I just go in with like a light brush stroke and it helps me to kind of cover up. So see, you can't really see it, that line in the same way. And because we left everything thin up until this moment, the diffusion happens so that there's no like the diffusion that I'm looking for is making it so there's no hard edge, right? Like as this fades into kind of the depth of the lake going back in space, the diffusion happens because the paint gets caught on kind of the ridges of this cold press paper. Makes it nice and soft, but in a different way than this feels. So we're going to go in here and we're going to make kind of some fabric lines. So if we think of the tent as fabric, we're exaggerating reality, right? I like to think of the way that I'm painting. It's not realistic, but we're using realism to kind of like fabricate reality, to kind of mimic reality, to make something that feels a little bit beyond reality. So for the fabric, what we know about sheer fabric is if it layers on top of each other, it's going to get more opaque. So we're going to create some of those like opaque, overlapping, drapey moments. And that sounds complicated, but it's going to be really simple, and I'll show you. So we're going to just kind of use a little bit more of this. And if anyone has anything they want to share or questions or thoughts or you want to share what you're working on, I want to hear it. Otherwise, I'll just talk your frickin' ear off. I'll start talking about sewing. Oh God, don't let me do that. So I'm gonna make like a area over here. And we're gonna kind of do what we did up here, which is we're gonna go in with a little bit more of a pastel, a little bright spot to make it feel like a highlight. Oh, knitting a sweater. Alexa, I really want to know how to knit. So jealous. Are you using a pattern? I know you're very intuitive with that stuff, so I bet you are kind of like riffing off of a pattern or something, which is like the sewing version of saying to someone that what you have on is vintage. I'm riffing on a pattern. Jade is working on a personal, hopefully to be published book. Hell yeah, Jade. And keeping things grounded in reality despite not drawing collaging realistically really helps. I love that. And these feel a little bit like too linear. So I'm going to try and like squish around the shapes a little bit. I knew it. I knew it, Alexa. You're like, yeah, I'm using a pattern, but I'm also like pretty intuitive with shape and fabric. So we'll see what this is, and it'll be epic. I'm just getting to the point with sewing where I can make kind of intuitive changes. It took me so long to get to that point. I'm going to make a skirt this weekend, and I'm going to add these. I want to add these pockets that I saw on a dress that someone else was wearing, and I've never seen a pattern for it. So I'm going to make my own template and add it to an existing pattern and see how it works. Let's see. Liz is working on a painting. I've also been knitting for like 20 years if you guys want to get together. I love that. I mean, first I need to figure out how to like, is it called, what's it called when you get your first, and maybe for crochet, isn't it like called purling? I remember my mom showing me how. I've done the first thing so many times and I can never remember how to do it. Let's see. Today I was glazing a ceramic mug. Tomorrow I'll make wine glasses from clay for my neighbor. Oh, I love that. I really like that. It's cool when you develop a skill to the point where you can make useful things as gifts for other people. Like I'm going to make that jacket for my mom, and I just want to feel like it feels cool to make something for her that I know she'll wear. Alexa says, hell yeah, Liz, I'm still a newbie. I feel I just bite off more than I can chew and suffer. Get out of here, Alexa. I feel like I've seen you knit a sweater before. Let's see. We're going to do, because kind of the lighting is like peachy, we're going to have this shirt kind of glowing like a peach orange, but it's going to be more of a lavender, I think. That would be good. Maybe it'll be white, like a light blue. So because the lighting is kind of blue outside and then the lighting in the tent is this like peachy color, I'm going to make the shirt be a little bit of like a blue with a little bit of white. I'm going to put this here so you can see it. And I mean like a very tiny bit of blue. So test this. Yeah, that feels right. That feels right. Dave and I watched that like horror comedy movie, Get Away. That's on Hulu. Last night, I love horror. For those that don't know, it is perhaps my favorite genre. And, I do love a horror comedy when it's done well. They're often not done well. But sorry, I have a little tickle in my throat. But we watched it last night, and it has the craziest twist that did not see coming. I was almost like a little bit kind of like, okay, like this movie's kind of like predictable and weird, and like a little bit annoyed with it until about halfway through when the twist happens, and then it became like crazy. So if you're looking for a weird, very weird and gross movie, but it is funny and playful, definitely check that movie out. Can't capitalize weird enough. It's the guy from, whatchamacallit? Oh, I'm blanking on it. Hot Fuzz is the one movie, but it's the first. I think he might be in both. Why am I not thinking of the name of that movie? I love it. He's the friend. Oh, I just was at the gym with, Alexa, and not Alexis, Alexis, not Alexa, and, she's watching that too much, the new Lena Dunham show. She really likes it. I haven't watched it yet. At this point, Lena Dunham kind of annoys me, but I also think she's very smart and makes very, like, moving things, so 2 things can be true. We can, we can appreciate good art and also acknowledge that people are bananas sometimes. Let's see, do I need to so for this, what color do I want it to be? I'm gonna move you guys for this up so you can see. We're gonna do kind of like a burnt orange color. This is one of my favorite colors that I've been making is this orange. Just orange from Holbein. It is kind of transparent. You can see kind of the dark of that color coming through. And then a little bit of black, which makes kind of like a really nice brown. I've actually not been using brown. Let me see if I can. It's like a kind of like a burnt umber color, but it's just orange and black. And then I'm adding a little water so it doesn't dry out. That's the one thing on the ceramic palette is it does all kind of dry out quickly, but it does also just help me control how much water is in it. And then a tiny bit of red. And I think I'm gonna throw a little more orange in there. The black really does like swallow everything up. Maybe I'll grab a little bit over here. Are you enjoying too much? Sorry, your username says Pete, and I don't know if you're really into the coffee or if that's your name, but regardless, Pete, are you enjoying too much? Alexis is like really liking it. She told me I have to watch it. And Dave, my boyfriend was a huge Girls fan, and then and I just feel like he would really enjoy it too if she's liking it. So these moments where kind of like a little bit of like a looseness with the paint where I'm kind of adding the highlight because there's going to be a lamp here. So the glow is going to be coming from this side, right? And then it'll get darker as it moves away. So I'm trying to add kind of the highlights in a wet into wet type of way. I think it's way more interesting. Petrian, Petrian. Hopefully I'm saying it right. It's Dutch from my grandpa and grandma. Piche and Jan. I'm probably messing that up, but beautiful. I love that. There you go, Jade. Yeah, we can be annoyed by Lena Dunham and still love the things she makes. We have the ability to hold on to nuance. Hmm. Hard to remember sometimes. Dave's sick, so maybe that'll be a fun thing for him to watch right now. As long as Petran tells us that's good. So this is like, it looks thick, but I'm using quite a bit of water. Not so much that it's pooling, but enough so that we can get some of these like painty textures, right? This is like kind of a weird thing to try to balance, but the more you use acrylic gouache and the more you play around with like water control, the easier it is to do. And this is also the benefit of the cold press paper because it allows us to kind of, I'm at the second part of the show, but have to break a little, but I loved girls. Have to take a moment. But this is the benefit of the cold press paper because it is like a sponge. Like hot press paper, I feel like the water kind of like rests on the surface and the paint kind of squishes around on the surface of the paper in like a really nice way. I'm gonna use a smaller brush for this part. Whereas I think sometimes like hot press or cold press paper, what I like about it is it's a little bit scratchy and dry, and I have to kind of like push the paint onto the paper. I like both. For my Earthling like short story graphic novel, I'm using hot press paper, and it's a really nice kind of like fun break because I often use cold press paper. And I might try to do a little darker down here. And there's going to be a little bit of a plaid on top. And I want to do the plaid before this dries out so that it can have like a really nice, we'll use like a brighter pink. So when we do it before it dries out, this is kind of what happens. It starts to mix with some of the wet parts, and then the line can disappear a little bit. And then we can have it come back stronger, and it can feel like it's actually a part of the fabric. And a fun trick, if you're feeling scared about fabric, is that fabric helps us to kind of like push volume to make things feel voluminous and give shape, depending on the pattern you're using. So a lot of times stripes and plaids are the easiest way to do it. Because without even trying, you can start to kind of define what's underneath it. So I have one little cat here, and then I have another cat over here. So I'm just going to put like some base layers down for them. Since they're little tabby cats, I'm going to start with kind of a mid-tone so I can add pretty dark. Yeah, darker tones. So I'm just thinking about the shape. So we have little paws sticking out over here. So again, I'm not worried about this looking like a cat or looking at paws because we're gonna adjust it with pattern in a little bit. I always forget to bring my watch over so I can tell what time it is. I don't have my time. 11:50. Okay. Well, I probably won't be able to do the cat patterns with you, but I want to put shadow under um Alexa's arm and like body, just kind of like to create a little bit of depth pushing this way. Or actually, maybe I'll leave it the shadow purple and then do the orange light coming from the lamp. So we'll try that. See how it looks. Fern, that's enough. Fern licks himself a little. His paw pointing towards. Leave it. Leave your paw. There you go. Um, let's see. And then we're gonna do this little guy. Um, might there'll be like a little cat paw here. Cats contort themselves so much, it's almost like we can do anything with our little bodies on when we're drawing them, and it's believable. So now I'm going to do some skin, and I'm also going to see if I can cover up. I missed that one spot. Looking. Oh, that's the other thing is like the Stay Wet palette is not a very big surface. So sometimes it's like is I'm like mixing a color and it gets all messed up. Okay, so now let's do, I think for skin on other parts, I've been doing kind of a mixture of scarlet, white. I do love just kind of those two colors together. That pink is always really fun. We'll add a little bit of ochre. Maybe a little. white to it. And then I'm going to add, I'm going to scoop a little bit to the side and we're going to add a little bit of blue. Because we're playing with lighting, right? And we have our white shirt, and I'm going to add those orange highlights once I get into kind of that part of it. I don't know if I'll get to do that with you today. But, okay. Yeah, it needs to look more blue. So I'm just grabbing like a color that I mixed up the other day. And we can have moments where you see kind of the pink come through. And this is just the base. And I'll go back in and fix that paw. But it helps to kind of, I like to think of like big shapes first and then adding definition second a lot of the time. Not always, but a lot of the time. So go back in a little more blue. One of the hardest things for me, and I've been trying to use it more, is thinking about what color things are in different times of day. So I really like kind of paying attention as the sun sets and in the evening to how I know things are a certain color, even when they don't look like it as the light changes. So, and then how to use that kind of in paintings. So this is like a good example of that. Like we know that she doesn't have blue skin because we see it in other spots, but it's a great way for us to kind of amplify the feeling of the evening. And I'm probably gonna have to like exaggerate the shirt a little bit. Like it feels too flat. So I'll make it have a little more movement. And again, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of like a corally orange highlight. This brush is shaped a little funny. Let's change. Which is fine when I'm doing like bigger stuff, but for tiny details. I like that kind of like grayed down blue. Cool. Okay, it's the last 3 minutes before I'll let you go. Thanks for hanging out. I don't even know how long I've been doing this. It doesn't, that's one of my, wish it would tell me that. But I hope it was fun and informative. I'm going to bring you around. Look, see, I'm a human being. None of this is made with AI. I promise. Um, but I hope this was fun. If you are excited about, I don't know, like sewing or any of that stuff, and you want me to share patterns, I can definitely do that. But otherwise, I hope this felt like a nice little break, maybe felt a little bit rejuvenating or soothing, relaxed, was inspiring for you to like work on some of your own things. getting back into projects is always the hardest part. Um, and I found this mystery painting to be a really nice way for me to get back into other things that I'm working on. So sometimes having something that's like a touch point, or a thing for you to return to that you know feels good and that you're excited about, is a great way to do it. I've been using this as that for a while. I had other projects that were the thing that helped me return to working on this. And that's just kind of how I like to work, is like this rhythm of projects, all at once. They help each other. Oh yeah, happy to paint, Petrian. Happy to paint and happy to share it. Sometimes I forget that um that you would like to see that. Sometimes I think to myself, like, I just gotta work on this thing. Right now I'm listening to an audiobook and it's really easy for me to kind of get lost in the audiobook and forget to share, but I enjoy seeing other people's process and I love sharing it with you guys. So thanks for being here. Um, I will post this to my page probably later today, and also share with you I have night class coming up. It starts next Saturday on the 26th. It is 12 Saturdays over the next 6 months. We meet for 2 hours. The first hour is you working on the thing that you're working on while I play music, and I read to you. And then we kind of move into the second hour of the class. Sometimes it's discussion, sometimes it's feedback on your projects. Either way, well, I heard a mailman pull up just now. So not saying anyone was going to bark, but someone might have. Um, but I would love to have you there. So if that sounds like it's fun or might be up your alley, let me know. We can talk about it. The people who take night class have all sorts of different types of practices. Some are full-time artists, some are full-time illustrators, and then some have full-time jobs and do art on the side. Um, and then I also am teaching a workshop if you're in San Francisco next week called Mirror Mirror, and it's how to draw and paint using our own bodies as a starting point. So we use video and cameras on our phones, and then talk about how to use reference imagery, and then move beyond the reference to create cool things. Um, we'll do some drawing and then we'll do some drawing with paint. And then depending on what people work with, we'll work on other materials. Anyway, maybe I'll see you at one of those things. Otherwise, I will see you soon. Bye, my dudes. Enjoy the rest of your day.